Welcome to the show, and here's what we do know, or at least are pretty sure of. Number one, we know, or at least are pretty sure, because remember, this all has to go, maybe, hopefully, please God, one day before a court of law. But we do know that Hunter Biden was involved in some pretty shady business dealings with people in places like China and Ukraine. Number two, we are also pretty sure that Hunter's number one skill besides, finger painting and smoking crack and banging hookers is that with Joe Biden and the White House, they are lying about what the president knows. How do I know this? Well, let's find out as we go busting the narrative. So, right, up until now, the official line has been that Joe Biden knew nothing. Kind of like, this guy from Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
No, really, have a look.
First of all, I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period. Nothing more than that, because I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters, and I've never discussed them because they know where I have to do my job and that's it, and they have to make their own judgments.
Do you understand people say, Joe Biden, he's an experienced politician, statesman, knows the issues of Ukraine. Why didn't he just say to his son, this is one to take a pass on, it may not look good?
He was already on the board, and he's a grown man. Right. Look, what I agree is with that there's not a single solitary thing anyone said that was done wrong. I don't discuss business with my son. I didn't know that was the case when in fact I found out after the fact. And because I don't discuss things with my son or my family, because I don't want to have any knowledge of I don't want to be accused of, well, you talk with your son or you talk with your whomever.
Whomever indeed. Now, of course, we know this is all nonsense. From the details of meetings on the hunt between Hunter and Joe on the laptop to that infamous WhatsApp message where Hunter tried to heavy a Chinese businessman, threatening them that he was sitting there with his father and he wanted a situation resolved, we know what Joe is talking about is a pack of lies. And now, as more and more comes out, the story is changing. Look at this.
Curious if the White House and the president still stand behind his comment that he's never been involved and has never even spoken to his son about his business.
So I've been asked this question a million times. The answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son.
Did you get that? Very subtle but important change of wordings there. The president was never in business with his son. Not what we heard before, the president knew nothing about his son's business dealings. This is a really important distinction, legally and ethically, and it suggests how the whole Biden house of cards is starting to fall apart. Well, this is big news, especially in light of the way the Hunter Biden plea deal fell apart, meaning that he could still be investigated for a whole lot of other things, including acting for foreign countries like Ukraine and China without registering himself as a foreign agent. These investigations could wind up leading right back to the White House. So the idea now that the White House is changing their story about whether or not the president knew anything about his son's business dealings is, again, pretty big news. So the question then becomes, well, how is the media covering it? I almost don't need to tell you this, do I? I mean, when I went to the New York Times' website, the most scandalous thing about Joe Biden that they had was that his dog had bitten a number of Secret Service agents. Now, whether or not that is better or worse than Joe's penchant for nibbling babies, well, that's up to you. But it does seem that there is at least one honest man in Athens, as the saying goes, Jonathan Turley, and he has written, and I quote, The president assured the public repeatedly and consistently that he never discussed or knew of these dealings, even as evidence mounted in contradiction. Turley continues to say that he made this false denial part of his presidency in having his staff echo the same denials to the press and the public. As allegations of bribery and influence peddling swirl around the White House, this pattern of dishonesty and denial can become a basis for impeachment inquiries, as it was with Nixon, unquote. Well, Turley's correct, but here's the thing. The difference between Nixon and Biden is manifest. One was a Republican who upset the establishment and had to go. The other, well, you know the rest. Thanks for watching, and to support this channel, please like, share, and subscribe below. And I'll see you next week for more Busting the Narrative. Bye-bye.